Hello everyone! Welcome to the Monday Mailbag. For Blazers Uprise, I'm Eric Brandt, and I am so stoked to get my shot at doing a mailbag this week. If you have any questions for future mailbags, please leave them in the comments below. Also, if you have any trade suggestions, leave them on whatever the latest Trade Talk video is. But let's get right into the questions this week. The first question this week comes from my man Destrom. He asked, how do you think Nurkic performed as a whole and in the playoffs alone, coming off an injury? Now, going into this, I wasn't sure what to expect from Nurkic. I thought anything he would have given us would be a bonus, but I couldn't have been happier with the way he played. He showed us that he is pretty much fully recovered from his injury. Now, he did get a little gassed in the playoffs and towards the end of the seeding games, but that was to be expected after missing almost 15 months. I don't think we could have asked for much more out of him, and I'm really excited to see what he brings in the future. I think he's going to be either our second or third most important piece moving forward, and I think he showed that he is back and ready to roll for next year. Our next question comes from the one and only original Dizzy D. He asked, who would you want to get with the MLE? Now, this question for me solely depends on what we do with Whiteside. If he is retained, then I think you focus on guys like Maurice Harkless or other wings that could maybe possibly sign here. If we do not keep Whiteside, I think we need to go after a big. My first call would be to a Serge Ibaka and see if there's any way he'd be willing to sign here. If he is, great. If not, I would move on to guys like Paul Millsap, Derek Favors, Aaron Baines, maybe even Marc Gasol. Just try to find the best quality 4 or 5 type guy that we can get if we don't keep Whiteside. The next question is from my guy Thomas Saransky. He asked, the fact that Melo eventually played here after being one of the guys who resisted doing it, do you think him playing here and loving it could help us in free agency, as far as bringing someone here that otherwise probably wouldn't have been? Now, I do think this helps Portland's situation, being sort of a team that you can go on, have a good experience, get playing time, rebuild your career. So that obviously can't hurt in this situation. But the problem is, in free agency, we don't really have cap space. So we're not going to be able to go out and sign a big free agent in most cases. Maybe we could sneak it out a couple years from now if we play our cards right in terms of contracts and stuff like that. But it's going to be really hard to get that guy who you would think would come and play here, even if we can't afford him. So you're looking at the mid-level exception targets, and I think those are the type of guys that would probably sign for the mid-level exception no matter what team they go on. Now, we could have a bit of a situation where someone signs here that wasn't willing to sign here before, but I don't think situations are the same for everyone. So like I just mentioned, going after a guy like Serge Ibaka at the MLE, I don't think he cares what happened with Melo here. Like I said, it doesn't hurt that Melo had a great experience here. And maybe he wants to play with a Melo, so if we re-signed a Melo, he'd be more willing to sign here. I don't know what the situation is, but someone might be willing to do that. But yeah, overall, I don't know how much it helps us in terms of getting free agents. I think the way the NBA is going with the loss of revenue, it's just going to come down to getting the best player that we can get with the money we have. And I don't know if the way Melo played here will affect that at all. Zacho Califano has the funniest question of the week. He asks, who wins in a 1v1, Hezonja or Turner? Now, I actually put some thought into this one. I think Evan Turner would kill Hezonja in a one-on-one. He's a better defender, and he can throw his weight around. He knows how to use his butt to back people down. I just think Turner could just let Hezonja shoot some crazy lay-ins and miss him and just get the rebound and then back him down and score. So I think Turner would win that rather easily. What do you guys think? Who would win, Hezonja or Turner in a one-on-one battle? Our next question comes from Michael Cook. He asks, do you think Gabriel should be in the rotation next season? I'll answer that part first. So Gabriel is actually a free agent. I really hope we retain him. He'd be a cheap backup to have. The problem is with Gabriel projecting him for next year is we should be really deep if we make the right moves this summer. And our bench should be really good. And I don't know if Gabriel will be in the 9-man rotation starting off the season. Now, I hope we continue to develop him, and hopefully in a couple years he's ready to be in the rotation. And I would like to see him get some spot minutes to actually see what he has. I really love his energy and defense off the bench, and his offense I felt like improved a lot. And I think he was one that actually cut to the basket and went for offensive rebounds, and we need those things in our lineup. I just don't know if he's going to be good enough to make the rotation next season, but I hope he's still on our team. Now, the second part of your question asked, also, do you think we should utilize Nurk's passing more at the top of the key and in the post in our offense? Obviously, we need a lot more off-ball player movement for this to work. I absolutely agree with that. We should be utilizing Nurk a lot more. The problem is he's not the type that can break someone off the dribble and penetrate and cause defenses to collapse and kick out passes to the three-point shooters. So we need movement. We need cutters to the basket. We need back screens. We need ways to get him a lane to pass the ball to and utilize that properly. When you just pass to Nurk and everyone stands around, it kind of wastes his skill set. He can't pass someone open if they're not moving. So I really hope that we learn in the future that in order for this team to take the next step against elite defenses, especially in the playoffs, we need to pass the ball to someone outside of Dame just dribbling into the double teams. And that person needs to be able to pass to guys that are moving off the ball. And that's the next step we need to take. We'll see if we see it. We haven't seen it now for several years, knowing that we need to do that. So I'm not very hopeful on that, but I really hope we do find a way to make Nurk's passing at the top of the key more effective, because it is really good. Since there wasn't a lot of questions this week, I decided to answer a second one from Michael Cook. He asked, do you think we should extend Collins this offseason? If so, for how much? I don't really see this as a need to do this offseason, especially with him being injured. The market for him isn't very high. So the only way I would extend him this offseason is if you offered him a contract like a 4-year, somewhere between $20 and $30 million, and he accepted that somewhere between $5 and $7.5 million per season. I would not offer him anything more than that. But if he was willing to accept that this summer, coming off some injuries and some not really knowing what his future holds, I don't see him doing that, though. I think he'll probably play out his contract. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for the Blazers, because he's not the type that's going to put up huge stats this year. So we don't have to worry about him playing so well that he'd get a maximum contract somewhere. He's more of a role glue kind of guy in our offense. So I would just wait unless he's willing to sign like a really, really team-friendly deal. But yeah, overall, just wait till he's a restricted free agent, match any offers for him, or just offer him a reasonable contract then based on what he shows us for this season. Our last question of the week comes from Trevin. He's trying to throw in a little joke here on Torrey. He asks, what are your thoughts on Torrey averaging 2.2 in college? Sneakily impressive. I'm going to defend my boy here. So, first of all, this was his freshman year in college, so you can't really judge too much on stats. Second of all, he was battling a knee injury, not to make excuses or anything, but it was plaguing him. Third of all, in games where he played at least 16 minutes, he scored 12 points in both of those games. So it's not like he was a complete failure at all if he got minutes. He actually showed something in the games he did get minutes in. So I wouldn't think too poorly of him only averaging 2.2. He didn't get a whole lot of a chance to prove himself there. And for the record, Torrey is probably the best player I've played with recently in terms of overall game. He can do it all. He can handle the ball. He can shoot. He can pass. Not as good as me, but he can pass. And then he's a really good defender too. He just has a really nice overall game. So ease off him a little bit, but it is funny to call him Torrey 2.2 Jones. But yeah, overall, I am impressed with what he does and how his game is. I think he's a really good player. That's going to do it for this episode of Monday Mailbag. Again, if you have any questions for future mailbags, just drop them directly in the comments below of this video. And then also, once Torrey drops his trade talk video this week, please give me some great trade ideas for next week. I got a lot of crap for not liking many of the trade ideas in my last video, so I really want to like some of those. Let's come up with some creative ideas for me to talk about. I'll try to bring some of my own to the table as well. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. It's been a lot of fun. For Blazers Uprise, I'm Eric Brandt, and as always, peace out. Go Blazers.